Please turn on your volume. What will follow is a training video with the oral-based cues. Please watch the entire video through 3 times. Once that is done, please contact Max Shukla for the next stage of testing. Please pause and re-watch in order to fully grasp all the notes made within the video. Notice how his center of mass has shifted. This would make it hard for him to step back on himself, indicating a step to your right. His body has become narrow and upright, and therefore to step back against his center of mass, he would otherwise be lower. His arms and shoulders are opening up, which opens up his hips so that he can easily accelerate to your right. Here it is again. The same can be said for a step to your left. Observe the center of mass has shifted, his arms, shoulders and hips are open, his body has narrowed, so to accelerate. Here it is again. His center of mass hasn't shifted, and therefore it will be easier for him to step back on himself. Note synonymous with a double step to your right. His body is lowered, which allows him to change direction quickly and efficiently. It would be harder the more upright he is. His shoulders and hips are very flat still, because he has not yet committed to stepping to the left, which could indicate a counter step to the right. Here it is again. The same can be said for a double step to the left. Observe his center of mass hasn't shifted. His shoulders and hips are flatter and not opened. His body is lower to help change direction. Here it is again. Steps by the sideline have similar notes to both a single step and double step. However, due to the sideline acting as a second defender, it should make your decision of what the player will do next easier, as they can't just step out of bounds. His center of mass is shifted, his shoulders are turning, his body is narrow and upright. Notice the sideline. Here it is again. His center of mass is shifted, his shoulders and hips are turned, his body is narrow and upright. Note the sideline in the shot. Here it is again. When performing a spin move, his body lowers and becomes narrow still. As a spin becomes quicker, the more narrow you are. He is throwing his right shoulder backwards whilst twisting his upper body in order to spin quicker to the right. Here it is again. The same can be said for a spin to the left. His body is lowered but narrow to spin quicker. The top half of his body is twisting. His right shoulder twists first. Here it is again. His center of mass hasn't shifted, plus he hasn't broken down his steps to get ready for a move. His body is tensing, and this brings his head and shoulders lower as he tucks to protect the ball. He is getting ready to head for contact. Here it is again. The same can be said when a player heads for contact the other way. Observe, he doesn't break down before the movement. He protects the ball, and his body tenses so his shoulders and head squash together. Here it is again. When passing the ball, he squares his whole body towards the recipient of the pass. His arms swing further back than he otherwise would in order to deliver a powerful pass. Here it is again. The same notes can be noticed for a pass to the left. Observe, he is square to the recipient, and his arms swing back further than they otherwise would. to deliver a powerful pass. Here it is again. The same can be said for a lob pass, though there are slight differences. Observe, he is square to the recipient. He also draws back hard in his swing because it's a bigger pass. However, he'll use his legs a little more to put more power behind it to get it to go further. Here it is again. The same notes can be applied to a lob pass to the left. Observe, he is square to the recipient, he draws back hard in his swing, and he uses his legs to provide more power in the pass. Here it is again. The same can be said for a pop pass, however, again, there are slight differences. The drawback in his arms is less than a normal or lob pass because the recipient is closer. Note he is still square to the recipient. Here it is again. The same can be said for a pop pass to the left. Observe the small drawback from the arms, and he is square to the recipient. Here it is again. His shoulders aren't as square because there would be no intended recipient in a fake pass. The drawback of his arms is not as fluid and looks stunted compared to a regular pass because he must maintain control of the ball in a fake. Here it is again. The same can be said for a fake pass to the left. Observe, he is not as square because there's no recipient and his arm drawback is stunted. Here it is again. When a fake pass is near a sideline, this should make your decision on whether to tackle easier as they clearly can only pass one way. This should be anticipated. Observe, his shoulders aren't as square because there's no recipient. He also has a stunted arm drawback. Here it is again. The same can be said for the opposite way during a fake next to a sideline. Observe, his shoulders are not as square and there is no recipient. He also has a stunted arm drawback. Here it is again. His eyes are focusing on the ball so that he knows contact will be made. His arm is flowing out wider in order to balance when kicking. The ball is being released at a lower height as a squib kick is a lower kick. His stride cadence will be different to a fake because he has to make contact with the ball. Here it is again. When he performs a fake squib kick, he doesn't look at the ball, but more at space on the pitch in order to move into. His arm doesn't move out as far as it would for a kick, because he has to bring it back in to support the ball. The ball is closer to his body for support, and his cadence is off because he isn't kicking the ball. Here it is again. When performing a cross-field kick, some notes are similar to a squib kick, but there are differences. His eyes are looking down at the ball, his arm is out for added balance, his cadence or stride pattern is set for actually kicking the ball. The difference comes where the ball is placed because the kick is cross-field, the ball is released higher up the body. Here it is again. Similar notes of the fake squib kick can be noted in the fake crossfield kick. Observe, he is not looking at the ball is closer to his body, also his stride cadence is wrong because he won't be able to kick the ball like that. Here it is again. Lastly, to make sure you are paying attention, a fake pop pass will be displayed now. It is similar to a fake pass. His shoulders aren't square because there is no recipient. Also, there is virtually no drawback by his arms, as movement is confined to his wrists. Here it is again. The same can be said for a fake pop pass to the opposite way. There's virtually no drawback by his arms. Movements are mainly confined to his wrists. His shoulders aren't square because there's no recipient. Here it is again.